Jordan Peele's Nope left some audiences saying, "Hell yeah." Others, however, were ready to get out of theaters. The opening scene of Nope is a viscerally horrifying experience that puts viewers on edge while setting up the themes of the film all at the same time. It's almost entirely quiet and comprised of a single simple shot: a chimp in a birthday hat covered in blood on the set of a television show. It's clear that the chimp has run amok and savagely mauled the girl, who may or may not be dead. Chimp attacks on their own are terrifying, but coming at the very start of a film supposedly about aliens, it's as upsetting as can be. One Reddit user wrote, "It's truly the scariest scene in my opinion in this movie. It makes you want to look away, but the feeling of needing to know what happens next is curiosity taking over." Following the opening scene, we meet Otis Sr. and his son OJ. Unfortunately, the Haywood patriarch is badly wounded by falling debris. He abruptly stops moving and sags atop the horse he is riding. After he's rushed to the hospital, we find out that a nickel fell from the sky, through Otis Sr.'s head, and fatally embedded itself in his brain. While that would be upsetting enough, some fans have picked up on a more insidious part of the scene. As one Reddit user points out, the overall theme of Nope is trying to profit off things you really probably shouldn't profit from. What kills Keith David's character is money falling from the sky. By the sheer number of comments, it's obvious that one of the most upsetting sequences in Nope is when the saucer sucks up the crowd at Jupe's show. The scene itself is gruesome, but the implications of what comes next are even worse. The saucer is no alien aircraft, but rather an animal itself, which means that the crowd is actually being digested instead of just abducted. An exchange between two Reddit users sums up the scene's implications well. So what, they're being slowly digested while suspended in air for hours? I guess until it blenders them or something. Sporadically throughout Nope, chillingly vague screams echo throughout the canyon, usually when the saucer is in sight. The movie spends a long time sprinkling the screams throughout before it ever even hints at an explanation. On top of that, the screams seem to come from multiple beings at once, sounding like any number and combination of people and animals. Even before the spine-chilling sounds are explained, they manage to upset fans to their core. One Reddit user was one of the first to cite the pervasive screams as one of the most upsetting parts of Nope, saying that their screams from the clouds was horrible too, and then suddenly cut off. Chills. The screams make the digestion scene even worse, implying that the saucer carries its victims in its stomach for days, slowly and painfully digesting them. One fan writes, "I'd never seen that in a monster movie before. The monster's victims still alive inside it and screaming, giving you a sense of the being's location, but in a way that is more terrifying than useful, and then it swallows them."
We're making something new and special, and something that is a testament to why I love movies.
And of course, the digestion scene leads directly to one of the most horrifying moments in the entire film, the blood rain scene. The scene, which is already being compared to the infamous elevator blood scene from The Shining, sees Em and Angel trapped in the ranch house overnight, the saucer menacingly hovering directly over them. Like we had seen before, small metal objects begin falling from the sky, clinking against the house's walls and windows. Then the rain switches to a torrent of dark red blood, which repaints the formerly white building red for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, they repainted your house.
As we gradually come to realize, the blood and all the metal objects that had ever fallen from the sky were actually the saucer creature expelling its waste. One user wrote that, "We see the jean jacket vomit the objects it cannot digest, and you wonder what's next. Will it destroy the house attempting to kill Em and Angel? Nope, blood starts to slowly pour in a terrifying Shining-esque sequence." We already covered the opening scene, which jumpstarts fan terror with images of a bloody Gordy and his victim, but Nope has much more Gordy violence to parade out later in the movie. After some balloons unexpectedly pop on set, the chimp bursts into a murderous rage, brutally mauling his co-stars. The one exception is a young Jupe who Gordy leaves unharmed. The sequence did not sit well with fans at all. One Reddit user wrote that, "The entire scene was so nerve-wracking, especially when he sees young Jupe under the table and just stares into the camera. My anxiety was so high." While another fan wrote, "The Gordy scene was masterfully done and stuck with me as truly unsettling." The vast majority of Nope moments that upset fans were pretty purposefully meant to invite discussion. They either delivered on the film's promise of horror or delivered on its social commentary, in both cases nailing that sweet spot so typical of Peele's work. But a few of the upsetting moments seem to be drawing such ire from viewers because the suspension of disbelief is being broken. Case in point, the praying mantis, which has already begun to generate its own discussion threads for its absurdity and convenience to the plot. The insect in question appears at the exact moment the Haywoods try to film the saucer. It covers a digital camera that Angel prepared beforehand throughout the entire alien encounter, and flies away of its own accord the moment the saucer leaves, preventing any useful recording. As one Reddit user commented, the use of the mantis felt weak and flimsy. Their setup would have worked fine if not for the praying mantis though, and they abandoned that setup after one try. They're right, given that OJ specifically comments on how rare the bugs are in that area, making the moment even more frustrating. And though other users considered the insect's presence just another bad miracle, the sheer coincidence of the insect being such an obstacle to the Haywood's success doesn't make it any less upsetting. That said, it's worth noting that Peele likely meant for this moment to be upsetting to fans on purpose. The scene becomes even more suspenseful not just because of the danger that the saucer poses to OJ, but because it's up to Emerald to try to remove the insect in time to capture the saucer on video. If fans were upset that the Haywoods didn't succeed when the movie wasn't even half over, that just shows that they were invested in the characters. To some fans, the choices and actions of Antler's Holst may be the most annoying parts of Nope. The character, superbly played by Michael Wincott, is presented throughout the film as a true master of his craft. He's an old-school guerrilla filmmaker and an incredibly talented cinematographer. He chooses his projects carefully, and it's clear that he values integrity and intelligence over all else in his career. That's why it's so aggravating when Holst agrees to help the Haywoods film the saucer and seemingly blows it. The supposedly expert filmmaker decides to take both himself and his never-before-seen world-changing footage of the saucer creature and voluntarily feed himself and it to the saucer. After all this time trying to capture the perfect shot of the creature, he succeeds, but only by throwing his own life away. The act has prompted a number of dedicated discussion threads, such as what was up with Antler Holst in the climax, my theory about Holst and his sacrifice, and the most direct of all, what Antler's Holst did was very stupid, can you guys explain why he would have done that? With all of the intersecting messages in Nope centered around the dangers of dehumanization, disrespecting living beings, trying to control predators, and putting spectacle ahead of empathy, some inattentive viewers think it was an odd choice for the movie to end with the creature murdered by M. To these fans, the scenes involving Gordy and his effect on Jupe's later life were meant as examples of what not to do. Those who try to dominate dangerous animals and harm them for selfish gain risk violent retribution and moral compromise. The same is seemingly true for the scenes involving OJ and his horse Lucky, and how the pair were treated on a commercial set. The theme supposedly carries into the third act as the cast prepares to get the perfect shot of the creature. However, one fan believes that the third act actually leads to OJ taming the creature. That was Jean Jacket showing respect to OJ. OJ challenged it and won, and after that revealed its true self to him, seeing him as an equal and let him live. Another fan added that respect is given, shown, and taken in most animal species. It's not a human-specific characteristic. These fans seem to believe that the scene featured a genuine bond between OJ and Jean Jacket, which would make the creature's death a confusing choice. Of course, considering that Jean Jacket is directly responsible for the death of OJ and M's father, on top of being a bloodthirsty killer of both people and horses, it may be safe to say that Jean Jacket's comfort wasn't exactly the top priority for the Haywoods. By its end, Nope reveals itself to be anything but the alien movie most viewers expected. What is initially believed to be a spaceship containing alien visitors from another planet turns out to be an organism itself. A massive flying predator that sucks people and animals into its saucer-like body to eat them, not probe them. Sorry, Angel.
They're just waiting for the perfect time to shove metal probes up our asses.
And while the film's characters still seem to believe the creature is alien in origin, there's not necessarily anything in the film to suggest that the creature is anything but a previously undiscovered species of animal. This twist, turning an alien invasion movie into a creature feature, is playful and fresh. That doesn't stop fans of alien invasion movies from being disappointed. Peele certainly billed the movie as an alien movie, even citing the recent release of previously unseen government footage of UFOs as an inspiration. However, the lack of explicit confirmation within the world of the film seems to have angered some viewers.